Getting ready to take on spring? Make your first move with the reliable performance and power of Steel battery tools. From hedge trimmers and mowers to string trimmers and more, right now you can save $50 on select battery tool sets. Real Steel. Offer valid on select AK system sets through June 16, 2024. See participating retailer for details.
You never want to find yourself out on the water fishing without the essentials. So it's best to always pack a Columbia PFG Solar Stream Elite hoodie to protect against the sun. I mean, it provides great protection and it's really breathable so you don't get hot. That's a win-win. Columbia PFG has a lot of great gear. So before you head out on the water, head over to Columbia.com/PFG to shop their performance fishing gear.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
And welcome to Thursday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. So glad you could be with us again for another hour of Giants football. Special time today because of the Giants having an OTA and a media availability. We had to push things back from 12:30 Eastern Time to 1:30 Eastern Time, but so glad that Super Bowl champion Howard Cross could still join us for this afternoon's program. Our number is 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. Give us a call. We'll talk Giants football. We're going to review some of what happened today during the Giants offseason team activities. There was a practice. There was some 11-on-11, some 7-on-7. We also had some media avails that will bounce some things off of Howard and see how he feels about the progress of this team. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you can also hit us up at #GiantsChat on Twitter. And as a reminder, if you don't catch the show live, you can always grab the archive on our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcast. Howard, good to see you again. And we don't have him on camera, but in tow, Howard Cross III from Notre Dame is right here in the building, and we're so glad to see you guys.
Yeah, man, we're doing good, man. I got having my son come around with me to a couple things that I do. My real estate work I do. He came out to me, walked around the office in the big city. We had lunch, came here today, walked around the facility, see some coaches, saw one of his old teammates he played with, so it's kind of cool.
Now, from what I understand, though, you're still schooling him at golf.
Yeah.
At least that's the way you said it at the lunch table.
It's not schooling him. He'd have to be in class to be schooled. We'll see. I'm going to take some of his money this afternoon.
Oh, I see the eyes over there. He's looking. He's looking.
He can't do nothing about it. This is a beatdown. No contest.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, 201-939-4513. We'll get to your calls in just a bit. We do want to go over some of the stuff, though, that did come out of today's OTA. As you guys know, the media sessions don't happen with every OTA. They only do them once a week. So today was an opportunity to talk to some of the offensive assistant coaches, as well as head coach Brian Dable. So a couple things that came out of those sessions today. First of all, let's get the transaction out of the way. Giants have waived injured Gary Brightwell, a guy I know you were fond of, but he was a real good guy while he was here, but just never really got a great opportunity to do much.
It's really tough in camps and when you're playing during the year. If you ever get injured, especially when you're in a room that's full of your position, you got to be healthy and available all the time. And poor Gary, man, he was just kind of caught a string of bad luck last year, wound up being on the PUP list. Once you get out there and injured reserve, it's kind of hard to get back in the role and the swing of things. And you would think, though, with the departure of Saquon, that he may have gotten a bigger role, but it just never really materialized for him. So good luck to him. Hopefully he, first off gets better, and then hopefully he gets in someone's camp and makes somebody's team, because I think he's a pretty good player.
His roster spot's been taken by safety, former Pittsburgh Steeler, someone who also had a cup of coffee with the Jets and the Eagles, Elijah Riley.
Okay.
Brandon Brown, the Giants' assistant general manager, was also out there earlier today and explained that he's a young player, still ascending, has a lot of ability. Again, he is a safety, and the Giants think that there's a lot of upside there, so they were very curious, and they brought him in, and he worked out well, and so he has joined the team.
Well, that's good. That secondary, we're going to need as much help as possible. I know we got some guys back there. Departure of McKinney. It's a big departure. We got a great draft pick. One of the top-rated guys.
Newman.
Yeah, we got top-rated guys in the draft at that position. But we always need more guys. You can never have too many safeties. You can never have too many pass rushers. You want to make sure you stop them any way you can.
Okay, of the most important things that were said by the coaches today, we'll start with Mike Groh, the wide receivers coach.
Okay.
He said he had 3 different chances to meet Malik Neighbors before the draft. And I think this is important, Howard, because we talk all the time about the scouts who have opportunities to research these guys before the draft. And because of the Senior Bowl and because of the Pro Day and because of some of, the Combine, the coaches a lot of times get input too.
Yeah.
Mike Groh said he had 3 different chances to meet with Neighbors before the draft. He was great. Says so far he's pleased with his progress, has all the tools, very dynamic with the ball. And Brendan Brown also commented that it's a complicated offense, and so far he's been able to seamlessly pick up all the different nuances. Well,
2 things. He came from a system that was a pro-like system, so that's one thing. I think Kelly and those guys have a pretty complicated system down there in LSU. I think number 2, the kid's a study holic. He's kind of a gym rat, so to speak. He's constantly in the gym. He's constantly in his books, or I guess now on the pad as he's studying the plays. Back then we had a giant book. Now they put it on.
That's right.
Now they put it on a Microsoft tablet, and it's a little different. But you don't get to flip pages and make and write on them. So I don't think you can write on a tablet not the way you used to. But anyway,
you would damage it.
No, you wouldn't. They have markers. They can.
I know they got
special.
They got special pens.
But it's really cool that he's that kind of a kid. A kid that really, he's a jock. He likes playing. That's a great thing for him.
All right, offensive line coach Carmen Brasillo in his first year with the Giants. Couple of interesting tidbits from him. He says he wants versatility, but having said that, it's only because of guys do get hurt, and sometimes you need to move them around. He would like to settle on a starting 5 without a rotation by the end of training camp. He says Evan Neal is concentrating on right tackle and will take it from there.
Versatility is not a good term when I hear offensive line. I'm just going to say that. I like that you have guys, you have backup guys, you want guys in there, but you want 5 guys that are going to play. You want 5 guys that are going to show up every time.
Well, again, he did stress he wants a starting 5
I get it. He wants
by
a
the end of
5.
camp. He wants a starting 5.
I think Evan Neal, if healthy, will be a part of that mix. I think when healthy, he's a pretty good athlete. He just hasn't been healthy a lot his first couple of years, so I know that's going to be a problem. Because we started the season last year, we had a lot of high hopes, and then kind of going into the, I guess, what we call preseason games, we started talking about guys competing at certain positions on the offensive line. I'm like, competing that means that we don't have the answer yet.
Right.
And so that's when I hear versatility, I feel like guys are still competing. And if I came here as a free agent offensive lineman, especially in one of those 2 guard positions, I would know that I got a chance to play, and I would be that would be all my focus would be. And I'd hate it for my family, hate it for everybody else, because I'm like, I got to get this done. So that's what I'd be excited about. So we're going to see. It's again, OTAs. They carry some weight, but they don't carry all the weight. By the time you get some pads on and start doing things, to see if you can pick up the twists, see if you can pick up the stunts, see if you can communicate, can you get to your guy on the pulls. Those are the things we're going to be looking for. And, we're also going to be looking at Evan Neal and making sure that, hey, look, be healthy, move your feet, bro, get yourself ready to go.
Priscillo says tough and smart are the first 2 primary keys that an offensive lineman must have to play for him. He says if he has on occasion used the rotation of the line, but he says that can hurt a player's confidence, so he does not really favor that. He would like to get a starting 5. He's got Azudu working at guard and at tackle. Thinks he is capable of playing both, and that is one of the versatile guys he was kind of talking about.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think Azudu right now is in position to grab a starting job, although you never know how training camp goes.
Yeah.
Luminor at the moment is a guard,
Yep.
but knows he can play tackle if they need him to. And those were the things that came from Priscilla.
So the starting five, Thomas, Schmitz, and right now Neal. 2 guards are?
Runyon and Luminor.
Runyon and Luminor. Okay.
As it stands today.
All right. That sounds good to me.
Okay. Brian Dable says he will decide on offensive play calling by the end of training camp. No decision has been made as of yet as to whether or not he will call plays.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
I like that.
Says there's no update on Darren Waller. Says every other player has made it in for at least some of the spring workouts. As you know, Darius Slayton came in this week.
Yes.
So that's good for attendance-wise.
Absolutely.
Dable says Jones has done everything and wants to do everything, but the medical staff is still holding him back to some degree. They want to be very judicious with him.
Yeah, I think, ACLs are, you hurt your knee, you hurt your knee. You just got to make sure that you're 100%. He looks good. I've seen him walking around. I've seen him out at a couple of events. I've even seen him out at the golf course a couple times. He looks good.
Yeah, he does.
You just got to be 100% secure with your knee when you get started, and you have to do exactly what the doctors say. They know how long it takes to heal. They know how long it takes to, build that muscle back, build everything around it. So, like I said, he doesn't have a lot of atrophy in his knees or around his knees and stuff. He looks as strong as he ever did. So, I'm excited for him. I'm waiting to see him come back.
Dable says they're doing some 11-on-11s this spring. Now, remember, there's no contact during these sessions, but he says we couldn't do that last year because we didn't have enough of defensive linemen in camp. We have them now, and he goes, I think we missed it. He goes, this is good because the quarterbacks need to feel the rush, and the offensive linemen need to see what's going on, and they need to think about the techniques that they're going to use.
Okay, so if you go 11-on-11, you can't have contact. What does
Correct.
that mean?
You can't physically get into it with guys.
But you can put your hands on them.
Fingertips, maybe.
Okay. I'm just kind of curious because how you going to get a pass rush or how you going to block somebody?
He's more concerned, I think, with the speed Russians and some of the moves and the
on
fakes
the outside,
that they do.
on
Yes,
the outside.
yes.
Okay, got it.
That's what he was really talking
Okay.
about. He wants the offensive lineman to be able to see those things.
Yes. Makes more sense.
Okay?
Absolutely. Yep.
So he thinks that's a benefit that they're able to do this year they couldn't do last year.
Okay.
So he likes that. Steve Smith, the former Carolina and Baltimore wide receiver, is here for the second year in a row. Has a connection to Joe Shane from when Shane was in Carolina with the Panthers.
I saw Mr. Smith when I went out there a few minutes ago.
Yes.
Loved him. One of my favorite guys.
Second year in a row he's coming in here. Last year he did a little short segment with NFL Network as a pseudo assistant coach.
Okay.
Well, this year he was invited back by Joe Shane and Brian Dable, and Brian simply said, Joe likes him, he knows him, I like him, and he's here for a couple of days to share experiences and help the receivers any way he can.
Well, the one thing you get from Steve Smith is not just that he's a great receiver, great technician, the little engine that could kind of guy. You get that attitude.
Without a doubt.
And that's what – I don't care if it's training camp. I don't care if it's OTAs. I don't care if you're in there lifting weights or just walking through the locker room. Attitude is so important, and having a guy that understands and has that feeling about him that, he's that it kind of guy, that's what you want to see walking around. And if guys that don't know him and maybe never saw him play, I'd be sitting by him and maybe walk by him or step on his steps. Maybe I can get some of that to step on me. So you want that kind of attitude when you play ball. When you want to play this game, that's what you really want.
201-939-4513. I think we'll take a phone call, and then, Howard, I'll get some more takes on some of the stuff the Giants said from you.
Okay.
But let's try to get this phone call in because someone is on hold, and that would be on line 1. And if I could only get the call sheet up, here it is. We will take Hugo in New Jersey. You're first on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Hey, Hugo, what's happening?
I'm glad Howard's on. No, it's all good, Howard.
I believe.
Last week there were a number of calls to the show about 1989. I think it was instigated by me, but then there were a few follow-up calls. And, of course, 1989 was your rookie season.
Yes, it was.
And by the way, my personal favorite in terms of draft classes because of the depth, I think Bill Parcells, who was, kind of hesitant to give a lot of compliments, said that George Young and Tom Boyster did quite a good job that year. And that young talent was the bridge combined with the 1986 veteran remnants to win that second Super Bowl.
Oh, definitely.
And I'll go through some of the names just to refresh or to educate fans who maybe don't know this class. We didn't have a second-round pick, by the way. There were 2 third-round picks. Bob Cratch, who was a starting guard. Yep. Greg Jackson was actually a very good safety.
Mahwah, New Jersey's own, Bergen County.
Bob Cratch, yeah.
In the 4th round, Lewis Tillman, who was a slashing, kind of change-of-pace running back.
Jackson State broke Walter Payton's rushing record there.
That's right.
5th, and here's where it gets where this draft gets put over the top. 5th round, Dave Meggett, premier third down back.
Townsend State.
Yep. 6th round, none other than Howard Cross, who played, as you said, Howard.
Roll Tide.
More than 10% of those 100 years. So enough said about that. And then in the 8th round, this is when the draft was 12 rounds. Myron Guyton, who was also starting.
Yeah, another starting guy. Great player.
And Myron Guyton and Greg Jackson executed Belichick's game plan in Super Bowl 25 to perfection. Those safeties would come up and hit the Bills receivers just as was prescribed in that game plan. Now, the interesting thing is the first-round pick, Brian Williams, was actually a very good player. I know George Young was very high on him.
Got blinded.
Well,
he wasn't blinded, but the eye injury really derailed him.
Got a thumb to the eye, and he
Well,
was it Bernard Holsey who got him?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
That was in training camp,
sure.
and his only issue was he played behind Bart Oates, who was an Ironman. I don't think Bart Oates ever missed a game.
No, Bart didn't miss many games. He definitely didn't.
Right. So my favorite draft class, but we talked about 1989, and I want to get maybe your thoughts on that season. And there was one game in particular that we talked about last week, which was December 10th, 1989. In Denver. That was the goal line stand, Gary Reasons.
Yeah, the snow game.
And I brought up the Dave Meggett 3rd and 31 play, which Parcells referred to as 3rd in Arkansas. And interestingly, when I went back and watched the video, you were out in the middle of the field after the play congratulating your teammates. And based on your body language, Howard, I could tell you were thinking, I ain't in Alabama anymore.
Oh, bro, that was the first time I'd ever really seen like snow, so it was very interesting.
Hugo, I got a bunch of other calls and folks who want to talk about this year's team, so I'm going to let you go on the history lesson. Howard will be on another time. Be well.
Okay, very good.
201-939-4513.
That's a lot of names there. That's pretty good.
It was a great class. It was a terrific season until the Rams playoff game.
Yeah, Flipper Anderson.
Right through the tunnel.
What are you going to say?
Right through the tunnel. Yeah, it was not fun. The ending of that season was just not fun because that team could have done some really good things.
I think it would have had a chance to go probably pretty deep in the playoffs.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think it would have been San Francisco and the Giants again right before. They had 2 years in a row.
The Otis Anderson had 1,000 yards that season.
1,024, I believe.
People think that he had that in the following season when you guys won the Super Bowl, but actually he didn't because he and Rodney Hampton split most of the carries during the season.
Because Rodney was a starting running back.
Right.
Yeah, Rodney was awesome. First-round pick out of Georgia.
He broke his foot, and then it was up to Otis to
carry the load for the end of the year.
But it was really the 1,000-yard season, and when Otis was comeback player of the year in '89.
Yeah.
That really had your team humming. 201-939-4513. Calls are lighting up. We'll get to more of the Giants' thoughts today after we go to Len from Maryland. You're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey guys. Paul.
Hi.
Howard, how you doing?
Very good, Len. How we doing?
Good. So it's take your son to work day. That's terrific.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that, Howard.
That's funny. Great. Everybody's talking about how big he is. He was such a little kid the last time we saw him walking around.
Hold on. Howard, come on. Get up a second. Get in this camera. I want you guys to see this guy.
This is ridiculous.
No. It's hard for me to even get in this camera shot. Look at it. Look at this guy. He is absolutely cut out of stone. I mean, seriously, folks, he's going to be drafted, okay? I don't know exactly. Yeah, you don't have a preference, do you?
His head is getting bigger as you talk. His head's getting bigger.
No.
Go sit down. Go sit down. Get out
all
of the
right,
shot.
Howard says to other Howard, go sit down.
Go sit down.
Thanks for coming up, Howard. We have, folks, the dude is cut out of stone. I am telling you, all right? He's got that Notre Dame shirt going, no Roll Tide here. That's the Irish right there, fighting Irish.
I had an Alabama shirt out, too. Sure.
Anyway, go ahead.
We was in the Sean O'Hara golf out. I had on a Notre Dame hat. He goes like, Tuck goes, full circle. So what's full circle? I look at my hat. I'm like, oh, man. Go ahead,
all right, man. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That was kind of interesting, and I got a quick message for Howard Jr. I'm a big Notre Dame fan, so let's go Irish, Howard.
Yeah, he's saying
the caller says go Irish.
Go Irish. He's like laughing.
Go ahead. Yeah. All right. A little sorry to hear about Gary Brightwell.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of followed his career. I actually saw him play in high school down here in the Baltimore area.
No kidding.
And oh my God, he was unstoppable. I mean, he was really a terrific high school football player, awesome. and a terrific college football player. I hope he lands somewhere. And who knows? When you get released with the designation that he got released with, who knows? Somewhere down the line, maybe you see him back here in camp or in uniform somewhere along the line. But
absolutely,
tough break for him. Paul, the coach's comment on Izudu.
Yes,
it sounded like a super sub designation.
At the moment, they're working him both at guard and at tackle. The Giants, as you know, are being very careful. Evan Neal is coming back off of a foot problem.
Right.
So he's not like full bore right now.
Right.
Which means they have some work at tackle that's available for somebody.
Yeah.
And Izudu is absorbing some of that time.
You got to be careful with those guys coming off those surgeries. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, moving to the other tackle spot. I mean, Andrew's the starter. There's no question about that. But we ran into a problem last year when Andrew got nicked, and we really couldn't find a suitable sub out there at left tackle. And geez, God forbid, we don't want to lose him for even a play, but we got to find somebody who can play out there a little bit. And
right now they have options. If you want to think about some options, they have Matt Nelson, who they signed from Detroit. Illuminor can play either tackle. He's done it in the NFL before.
Mm-hmm.
Izudu played a little bit last year. He was green and raw, and it showed. Now, maybe they're thinking, because Coach Priscillo says he really thinks he can play both, maybe Coach Priscillo thinks that with a full spring and summer of his tutelage, that Izudu might be better prepared to fill in if needed.
Well, I think Izudu made his point last year by coming in and playing. He went from guard to tackle, and he did pretty well when he first got in. He got injured, unfortunately, and got to be moved around because we had like 7 left tackles, 7 right tackles during the season. It was crazy. So a lot of guys were getting nicked.
If I remember Izudu from when he was back at North Carolina, he moved around at North Carolina.
Everything but center. Everything but center.
Yeah. It often happens in college. The coach needs somebody to play right tackle. You go play right tackle, and maybe you play left guard next week. And I'm not sure we ever really knew what Izudu's best position was, and maybe still don't know. But hey, listen, you can make a team as a super sub.
Yes, you can. Your best ability is your availability. If you're available to play 4 spots, that really helps out.
You remember Kevin Booth, don't you?
Yeah, same thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, for sure. Kickoff returns. I'm trying to get a handle on why so many people are talking about how it's going to be so different this year, and that kick returns are really going to be, dangerous. I mean, there's going to be guys taking it to the house, and we're going to see them more than one a season, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you are.
What do you guys see as the most important change in those rules that would lead people to think that kickoff returns are just really going to be, the big thing next year? That every team needs one, and every team may have somebody actually take it to the house. Is there one aspect of it, Paul, Howard, that you
Yeah, there are two things really, but the one aspect of it is that when you kick the ball off now, the coverage team is not allowed to move, and neither is the return team. So you're at a standstill, right? So the ball has to go.
Until the guy touches the ball.
Until the guy touches the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've given him so much more room to adjust to get upfield. Now, if you can, the second thing is that they're standing so close together. In the past, you could have guys that had a little space, and you could catch them, and you could get angles on them, and you could design and scheme up ways to make holes in the coverage. So guys just got better at kicking the ball through the end zone. Now they're trying to encourage guys to return. They want it back in the game. So there are going to be some coaches that are going to test it. They're going to see, hey, do they have a returner? If they don't have a returner, we can get the ball inside the 20.
Yeah.
If they have a returner, then they're going to be they're going to be kicks through the end zone, through the uprights, just to get the ball out of play, because you do not want to have a chance of a guy that's running 4-3 anything running back upfield, and you can get one guy off balance or out of his place. There will be a lot of if you have that guy that's your returner, there will be a lot of returns for touchdowns, and there will be a lot of touchbacks too, because they're going to try to keep the ball away from them.
So there's no real advantage of kicking the ball to the 1 yard line.
Yeah, if you kick it,
is there still an advantage of kicking it deep, Howard? I mean, carrying it to the end zone,
I would kick it out of the end zone. They're going to do great jobs, doing scouting reports on these returners. But if a team has a guy that's known to return the ball, especially a guy coming out of college with fresh legs, I'm not testing him. That would be what I would do. But the league is going to okay, well, let's see what happens. And when there are going to be guys catching the ball 9 yards deep and trying it.
Wow.
Yeah, there will be, absolutely.
Now, so on covering the kickoff, I mean, what kind of player are we looking for? How do you combat the advantage that maybe the returners have, given these new rules? Kick the ball out of the end zone. Kick the ball out. You're going to have
a lot of safeties, a lot of running back.
Speed.
A lot of safeties, a lot of running back. Yeah, you need the guys that have a little more build on them that can get through a block. To try to get downfield, and you're going to have the same guys or the same kind of guys on the opposite side. So it's going to be a little harder than people think to get a guy off his space. But if you got two safeties and a running back in the middle and two running backs in the middle, they'll have two safeties and two running backs probably matching them up, trying to keep them off. You'll take your corners and your receivers, put them out on the outside to try to squeeze the coverage, to bubble everybody in. But the biggest thing is going to be you're going to have guys with similar speed across the board. If you get one guy that's a burner that gets down there and he leaves a gap, if he misses, there's a hole.
Goodbye.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So it's going to be an organized effort to stay in your lane and to stay level, because you don't want to give somebody two or three levels to get you. You want to make sure that they don't get through the first level.
Land, I want to move the show along. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, go for it. Thanks for taking my call.
Getting ready to take on spring? Make your first move with the reliable performance and power of Steel battery tools. From hedge trimmers and mowers to string trimmers and more, right now you can save $50 on select battery tool sets. Real Steel. Offer valid on select AK system sets through June 16, 2024. See participating retailer for details.
201-939-4513. We'll go back to the calls in a few moments. Want to get some of the other takes, though, from the Giants people here,
Absolutely.
Howard. Dexter Lawrence said the defensive linemen are working more in unison with the edge rushers this year because they want both groups to be on the same page. He thinks that can be very advantageous. Also said he's working more on his speed rushes and using his hands a bit more.
That's scary. I'm just going to start out with Dexter Lawrence thinks he needs to work on something to get better. I feel bad for people. I'm like, that you can get guys cut playing against him. I think that them working together in unison probably means that the stunts and the twists will be more organized between the two of them. I think that sometimes when they're, again, the way the rules are and the way you have to practice, it's kind of hard to organize that where you're going against live contact. So they're probably going on air a lot, trying to get those steps down, to, and the timing down to get it done. But for him, talking about he needs to work on his speed rush more. Like he's on top of guys sometimes in the first or second step of a 3-step drop. So what's he going to take the snap? I mean, I have no idea. That is scary. I'm telling everybody in the league, listen, that 97 is working on his speed rush. Good luck. That's awesome.
All right, Darius Slayton, who came back into camp, missed some of the voluntary practices earlier, says he is satisfied, quote, satisfied, and he's looking forward to playing ball, knows it's a business, and he's glad to be back. And Brandon Brown also mentioned how happy they are to have him back and glad that everything is copacetic and they're moving forward. So that really doesn't need any explanation. Also, JMS, the Giants center, John Michael Schmitz, says he would like to see the starting guards position solidified early because they can get more reps together, and that will allow them to gel and play better together.
Well, he had a great start of the season, the first 2 or 3 games.
Rotating linemen.
Then he got hurt. He got himself hurt. He was out. Then they were rotating guards in the entire time. And as a rookie, you want 2 guys, one guy to your right, one guy to your left, that they're helping you with the calls, making sure you're on the right page with everything so that it's a lot easier. And you don't want it to come down to like 3, 2, and then you're snapping the ball and you're not sure what the call actually should have been.
Right.
Because if a guy moves a little bit, it changes everything, and it's just hard to do if the guys beside you aren't on the same page the whole time.
He also added that right now the linemen are working on their hand placement, and he says he particularly wanted to improve his footwork and his second-level blocking and maintaining longer blocks downfield when he looked at the tape.
So that means when he's pulling around and coming through, he wants to be able to not just hit the flowing linebacker or safety. He wants to be able to hit him and stick with him for like 4 or 5 yards, which is that's just running and hustling. Like I tell kids all the time, like the biggest part of the game is running. Like, and you have to run constantly, be in the camera shot, be close to your guy. You have to run, and he's just doing basic football 1-on-1 there, getting his running better the entire time. I like that. That's smart.
Adds that he wants to become more of a leader as well in his second NFL season. I go to Drew Lock now, and Drew says he's learning his 4th offense. So one of the things that he really likes about that, though, is because it's allowed him the experience of how to learn an offense because he's been through it so many times. And he says it's a lot of fun, Dable's offense. Says he knows he's been doing it for a long time, and Dable has always given him tips and reminders about what to do. And he thinks it's a really exciting situation. He says that he remembers talking to Shea Tierney when Tierney was with the Bills. He was coming out for the draft, and he said, I knew Buffalo wasn't taking me because they had Josh Allen. But I talked to him anyway because I thought it wasn't a bad idea.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. Says he's confident in who he is, doesn't listen to outside noise. Wish that he was better at that early in his career because he let a lot of stuff bother him when people talked about him when he was at Missouri and younger. Knew Daniel Jones. They were roommates at the Senior Bowl. Says Daniel's been very helpful because he's been participating in some 7-on-7s, and also he and Daniel watch film together after practice.
Well, that's smart. Be with the guy and make sure that you're a voice for the guy that you're backing up, and it's a big moment for a quarterback, especially the backup quarterback.
Yep.
They should be talking and seeing the same thing, so when something goes on the field and Daniel comes off, he can sit there and talk to the quarterback coach, but he should be also talking to the guy who's his backup, because his backup should be like, okay, I know what you're looking at, but this also happened. Pay attention to that. That helps him out with that second set of eyes. And if he knows what Daniel's looking for on every play, it helps him, be better making some of the same decisions. Same thing with DeVito. DeVito was known to do that too, as well as to watch the plays as they're going on the field, and that helps you. God forbid you have to play. I mean, God forbid for the sense like, oh my God, you got to play, but that something happened to the guy in front of you, then you're ready to play and you're looking at, and that there's no drop off because the receivers hear the same thing and see the same thing and have the same thoughts. The backs have the same thoughts. The offensive line knows exactly who you need to be picked up, who's dangerous. So you want everybody on the same page. And the only way to do that is to be with the quarterback, their starting quarterback the entire time.
Locke said when he was in Seattle last year, that win over Philadelphia did a lot for him. Told him that he knows now that he could do it, helped his confidence. Says it's been great getting so many extra spring reps. That built his confidence as well. Says he'll be ready if called upon when the time comes, and says this too: I know how to be a backup because you have to do everything you can to be ready. And he says, I am a backup, and I'm here to help Daniel Jones.
Well, that's good for him to say, but also you're never really a backup at quarterback because last year I think
You won't play
how many QBs did the league have play last year? Like almost 60 or something?
Yeah, it was like a record.
Yeah, so you're never really a backup at this day and age. You have to be ready to go the entire time.
Finally, on the quarterback draft, Brandon Brown, the Giants' assistant GM, said the team did due diligence on all of them. He said you have to do that. Do all your research, especially when you're picking high. You have to go through all of the process. And so that's really the way he addressed the quarterback situation, because the Giants were asked, or he was asked about, what did you think of the quarterbacks and how did that impact your decisions and stuff? And he goes, look, you just have to do your due diligence. That's just the way it is, especially when you're picking so high. You have to do all of your research. Did say that Locke has moxie and competes. That's why they wanted him here. He has a gamut of experience that will help him in this complex offense. He also mentioned why the Giants did not take any offensive linemen in the draft. He said they knew going into the offseason that they could bolster the offensive line through free agency. They didn't take anyone in the draft because they took guys who they really, really liked at positions that they felt they needed help, and that they had done enough in free agency that those names along the offensive line in the draft just did not come up in their spots.
Well, two things. The guys they did draft in those spots, like the 2, 3, and 4, they drafted the highest rated guy at his position at that spot. So that's kind of out of the question. When you're trying to get the best player, you're trying to get the highest rated player at that moment. So they did a good job there. As far as, if you're addressing the offensive line in the free agents market, they did a good job of that. But you have to also remember that you have some guys that they didn't have like season-ending injuries. They had injuries that were going to keep them out for the last few games of the season, and then they will be able to have an off season and be back and ready to go right away for the season. So you got more guys available than you think because they're going to be back ready to play. When you think about guys like Azudu and stuff, they're ready to go. As far as the quarterback evaluation, I will say this about the quarterback evaluation. Everybody hold your breath. I think you're going to be really surprised by who plays well and who doesn't play well, who gets on the field right away, who doesn't get on the field right away. Some guys are going to be forced on the field. They may not be ready for it. Some guys are going to be forced on the field and not have anybody to throw the ball to, and they're going to look a little different than what you thought. So don't go into this thinking like, man, these guys are great. Everybody's expecting the biggest, baddest moments, but it's not going to turn out the way people think.
All right, final thoughts from Brandon Brown we get from Howard, and then we'll go right back to your calls at 201-939-4513. Brown said Scout Hannah Burnett did 2 years of work on Tyler Nubin, the safety out of Minnesota. They found out he had great football instincts and character. His 40 time, which what he ran at the combine, wasn't great, but he said the tape speaks for itself. They were not worried about his 40 time at all. He said when he got here for his interview, they were so thrilled to be able to get their hands on him. And the other comments that he made about the rookies, he talked about Neighbors. Rare competitiveness and has an edge. He has moxie and a dog in him. Wants to be the best on the biggest platform, and he will let you know about it. Giants did detailed research on him, cites Tim McDonald as one who had excellent research available, as well as Jesse Armstead. Said Jesse has been very key in not only researching Neighbors, but getting him acclimated once he got here, and says that Neighbors raises the competitiveness of the entire wide receiver room.
I told everybody, I'm like, that's the second coming of Odell Beckham. People are like, I don't know if I liked Odell. I'm like, one of the most talented receivers the Giants have had in here in such a long, long time, and an incredible work ethic. He worked so hard. He was a vicious, vicious competitor, and I love that about that kid. And now you're getting another kid that comes out of LSU that's kind of following along, the Lamar Chase, Jeffries, all those guys. Odell, he's another one of those super receivers that are coming out of LSU. And, I think he's going to be the most competitive guy maybe in the league from a rookie standpoint. And I know everybody loved Marvin Harrison Jr. I know they love the kid out of Washington, Induzio, whatever his name.
Romeo Odunze.
He's
the guy I wanted.
Romeo, brother, I'm sorry for messing up your name, but I know they liked him. I know there's a couple other guys people like, but I told everybody, Neighbors is the guy that you want at that position. If you're going to take a guy that high, you want the guy that's the most competitive guy. And to me, he's the most competitive and the most explosive guy there.
All right, that's really the wrap on everything that was said today. from the coaches and the players in the media sessions. You got Howard's take on all that stuff. Our number is 201-939-4513. Rest of the show is all about you. So give us a call. Remember, the Giants Huddle podcast has all of these long-form interviews that you can get through all your favorite podcast platforms, as well as Giants.com/podcast. Giants season tickets. Of course, you can be a Giants season ticket subscriber for the 2024 season. You can stay connected to the team all year long at Giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is available, and Giants TV is the official connected TV streaming app. You get all kinds of great stuff on there. It's free. It's on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. We got those promotional announcements out of the way, and now we go right back to the phone calls, and we go to line 3. And Jerome is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hello.
Hi, guys. Love the show. I just want to, I'm so appreciative to have Joe Shane and Gable as part of the team. I love the work they've been doing. Follow every move they make. I was so proud. Usually you get somebody from Pittsburgh, they still pretty good.
Exactly.
And, I like the move they just making. Move at the move. They pulling a rabbit out the hat, all the time. My biggest question is the backup quarterback is pretty much going to be, you say lock, probably, more than likely he's going to be number 2. But number 3 quarterback, is there a chance, I can't think of the free agent that they signed late, quarterback.
You mean Nathan Rourke from the CFL?
Yes.
Or last year's Tommy DeVito?
Both.
Okay, DeVito is progressing by everybody's accounts, and I've watched him at practice, and he's definitely much more assertive and much more confident. Had a really nice throw to Boykin on the sideline today. It was a laser beam, and that was one of the highlights of the afternoon. Rourke is a running quarterback, and as Brandon Brown explained, he can be very valuable, even if he's just on the practice squad, because you can then use him on scout team, Howard.
You got to play you get to play Jackson this year, so he's a running quarterback. You got a couple other guys that are kind of mobile in the pocket. You want to make sure that you can emulate that as much as possible. And sometimes you have to put a receiver in that position, or a DB or a safety in that position,
or even a running back running wildcat.
Yeah. That you're like, okay, we're going to try to simulate the speed of the play and what it's going to really look like. But it's easier when you have a guy like that can actually come in. And I know that people have been asking me all over the place about Tommy and everything, and I tell them, I'm like, you got to have 3 quarterbacks, and then people are like, well, you can't keep 3 quarterbacks on your active roster. I'm like, I think teams are going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the active roster this year because there was so much movement and so many injuries that happened. It's a little weird.
Well, the other thing is you got to remember Daniel Jones has an injury history.
Yeah, well, everybody had an injury history.
Yeah. How true is that, Howard?
I don't think he can beat him out by his arm. He can beat Tommy out by his arm, though.
I don't think Rourke is going to beat out Tommy DeVito, if that's your question. I think Tommy, if they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, I think DeVito's the 3.
He's probably the most familiar with the offense, the one who can execute it the most, and you don't have to dial it down. It's kind of like when he came in last year, they pared it down a little bit, and then as he played and kept playing week in and week out, it opened up more and more, and the ball started to go down the field more. So that's kind of the difference in, being a guy that's 2 years into the system and a guy who's just getting here in the spring.
Okay?
All right. Appreciate y'all, and y'all have a good weekend.
You too, Jerome. Thank you so much for calling.
Getting ready to take on spring? Make your first move with the reliable performance and power of Steel battery tools. From hedge trimmers and mowers to string trimmers and more, right now you can save $50 on select battery tool sets. Real Steel. Offer valid on select AK system sets through June 16, 2024. See participating retailer for details.
201-939-4513. We've got some lines open. Mike from Queens, you're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hi, Paulie. Hi, Howard.
Hey, how we doing?
Good afternoon.
I'm calling. First time calling.
Well, we're very glad to have you aboard.
Awesome.
Definitely, I'm a big fan. I listen to every chance I get. I just wanted to touch up on a couple subjects. In terms of, Daniel Jones this year, I feel like the ACL really shouldn't inhibit him from being himself, because he's more of like a straight line runner. He's not like a Lamar Jackson type or someone who cuts a lot, you know what I mean? Especially when he gets out into the open field. So for him, it's going to be key, because I feel like, unfortunately, I feel like the Giants are going to move on after the season due to all the circumstances. Obviously, 5 years the guy hasn't had an average O-line or not one stud receiver all these years. And we got with people talking about Jalen Hurts, like he's been amazing. If you look at his history prior to him getting A.J. Brown, there was issues there as well. You know what I mean? He was struggling, and that's despite the fact that he had a great O-line, not even close compared to ours. But I feel like he really needs to let it loose this year and just not even think about the ACL to really have success. If he's going to be tentative out there, and thinking about his ACL, that is going to be I feel like it's going to be issue in terms of his performance.
As a player who had an ACL, I can tell you as a fact that all sounds good. That's not how you feel when you're out there. It's going to take a second or two. As Sims used to say, you got to get hit. Once you get hit and get back up and like, okay, everything's still together, then you get better at it. But until you get somebody to really put pressure on you, and you don't know what your body's going to react to after the hit, it's kind of hard to do. They can hypnotize you, make you a sleepwalker, do anything, but until someone hits you and it's tested in your mind that it got tested, it's one of those things. And that's just coming from me, from having one myself.
I got you. I feel like it's also, maybe you can tell me, because I never had that type of injury, but I feel like it's more mental too, right? Because you're coming off surgery. I feel like for a wide receiver or some other position, I understand. I could understand some of the tentativeness. You know what I mean, cutting on that leg. But for a quarterback, I feel like it shouldn't be. They're not doing too much of that cutting and all that. So I feel like maybe he can progress with that quicker earlier in the season compared to other positions like corner or wide receiver. But the one thing I wanted to talk about, Paulie mentioned that there might be an adjustment for Malik Neighbors. Paul, I don't know, maybe you can correct me, but I feel like when you're talking about a guy of the caliber of Malik Neighbors, if there wasn't three quarterbacks in the top three, he could have easily went top three. A
lot of people think that, sure, but it's still the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Carl Banks likes to say, there's a phrase that he uses, and I love it. These guys are not just add water, okay?
Yeah.
It does take some doing to become a pro. And to be frank, with LSU, Neighbors played more than 50% of his snaps in the slot. So now here with the Giants, they're going to want to move him around a ton.
Yeah.
He's going to be all over the place. It's not, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's going to take a little doing.
I think he played. I think he played 50-50 outside and slot in college.
It was a little bit over 50, I thought, but it's still we're talking percentage points. The fact is that's a lot of time at that one spot.
Well, it's also,
I agree. Yeah. My main point was that I look at other top-notch wide receivers out there, and they hit the ground running right away, man. They just
maybe he will.
Put up crazy numbers.
I don't want to cap his ceiling. Okay, I just want you to be judicious and understand.
I think Neighbors hits big numbers if the offensive line is able to keep the quarterback upright.
That's going to be a huge factor.
Yes.
So, I think
this is the first time I feel like we have at least an average around somewhere around there.
Yeah.
If say Neal doesn't pan out, they put Illuminor at right tackle. They can, I feel, still make it work. And putting Runyon at right guard, knowing that he's more of a pass blocker, the communication with him and Neal, that his experience obviously is going to help Neal tremendously. I feel like that was to me a solid signing compared to Glowinski, who was more. I think he was more. He struggled there, right? He wasn't as good of a pass blocker compared to Runyon. So And my last point, quickly, I just wanted to talk about the run defense, because that's an issue for me, man. And I was kind of like upset that, and I was going back and forth with it, because I really like Tyler Nubin. To me, we needed a ball hawk. We needed someone like
what he does,
a playmaker type. Exactly. We needed a playmaker, and not only that, I feel like he's going to be tremendous as a leader in that secondary, who McKinney was, last year and the previous years, obviously before that. I feel like he has that type of mentality, and he seems like he's that leader type. So he's going to be huge for them. But I wanted someone like Chris Jenkins from Michigan, someone who can at least really solidify that, because if we're going to struggle, we got a young secondary. If we're going to struggle, with the run defense, and that's going to put us in these third and shorts with a young secondary, it's going to be a problem. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that, and I appreciate you taking my call.
Before Howard answers, Mike, and thank you so much for dialing us up, I do want to say it's great to see Darian Beavers back out on the field again.
Yep.
After he had torn up his knee, and last year, he was on the practice squad kind of as a redshirt, to be honest, as he rehabbed himself.
Yes.
Well, he's back here in spring, and you know what? He's getting out there.
He's flying around, right?
And Howard, and it's great to see, because he had a really good summer camp 2 years ago.
Well, that's good to see Beavers is going to be back out there, because you do need depth at that linebacker position. I think that's going to be something really big that's going to help out. We bring a guy in, we sign him, and he plays every snap. Now, I don't think he still does. I think he's still going to want to play every snap.
Okereke, he's not coming off the field.
But it's good to have a couple other guys out there that if he needs a rest, he can get one. I think also, we're talking about the big man, 97, and his pass rush and all this stuff. Everybody has to remember, he is devastating. Dexter is devastating in the run. If he can get a running mate that's going to be, out there, that can play 70% of the plays and have to be spelled with him, or 60% of the plays that have to be spelled with him. If he gets a running mate out there with him, it's going to help the run game out tremendously. The safety's going to do a good job coming up, but I think Dexter in the middle. We got another big-time pass rusher on the outside. So that's going to help. You got three big-time guys coming up the field. And don't forget, Ojulari can be added to that mix from an interior rusher. And you could have like 4 speed guys up front. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys gel. It's a different defense altogether. We got a new defensive coordinator. Everything's going to be a little bit different, but they're still running the preliminary 3-4 front. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do it.
201-939-4513. We got about 5 minutes left. Then we got to kick it out of here today with some production issues.
We're getting kicked out of here.
Alex from Philadelphia, you're next on the show. Hello.
How you guys doing? What's going on, guys?
You got to whisper.
Good to talk to you.
You got to whisper, Alex, because you're down in Philly. Is everything all right, man?
No,
is this a distress call? Is this a distress call? I got you.
I fly the blue flag out here no matter what.
All
Don't
right.
worry about that.
That's awesome.
No, I just wanted to make a comment about our roster. I think, to be honest with you, I think that this year we're a better team on paper. I think so, but to be honest, this year I think that we're going to show a lot of improvement, just because I think we overachieved a little bit in 2022.
Yep.
People are looking at us at 2023 to be some type of playoff team, and I think we overachieved a little bit, but I honestly think 2023 we were a better team. We added talent. If you look at our team 4 years ago compared to the talent that we have now, it's tremendous. Just think about it. Even in 2022, the people who stepped up were our year 4, year 5, year 3 players. Dex, DJ. We don't have Saquon anymore, but McKinney, we don't have him anymore. But those are the people who step up. So I'm looking this year for Kayvon, Neal, McFadden, Belton,
Banks,
Wandell. I'm looking for that 2022 class.
Hey, Brian Burns is in the prime of his career too.
Yeah,
don't forget Burns.
Yeah, I mean, Burns, but veterans, which I love what we did with the O-line, is add veterans. Veterans are going to give you what veterans do, especially someone like to the caliber of Burns. Burns, he basically does the same thing every year. He's going to rush the passer. He's going to give you explosiveness. He's someone that they have to key into. But I'm looking for the talent that we've gathered through the draft. I'm even looking at second-year players. They show promise. I think Banks is going to be a stud eventually. I don't think he got enough credit for the amount of talent of receivers he had to face in his rookie year in a scheme that basically puts him on an island. So I think Banks is going to take a step forward as well. I see our young core developing, and it makes me excited about what Shane and Dable are doing. And I think that we're going to come into the season with a chip on our shoulder. I think a lot of people wrote us off because of last year, but forgot that, we kind of overachieved in 2022. We definitely were a better team last year. Tough schedule, injuries, and I'm excited, man. I'm really excited for this season. I think the biggest part of this season is just AT. If you just look at the stats with Daniel Jones and Andrew Thomas out on the field, it's like night and day.
Yep.
It's literally night and day. We have Andrew Thomas out there. He's a stud left tackle. He's probably one of the best in the league. If you have him out there, it makes a huge difference. And people forget we didn't have him for a good amount of time while we're rotating players playing basically the top teams in the league last year in the first couple weeks of the season. So, but I think this year the schedule is a little bit kinder to us. We got some more home games. I think there's nobody on. There's maybe a couple teams on our schedule that's like, oh, that's going to be a tough one. But I think that we have the talent. We come in, and I think if the O-line blocks, AT stays healthy, I think we're going to surprise a couple people this year.
Alex, appreciate the phone call. We got to run. Thank you so much. Hope to hear from you again. 212-939-4513. Write it down. Give us a call the rest of the week. We'll be back again tomorrow here on Giants.com. Howard, enjoyed it. Thanks for bringing your son today.
201, wasn't it? Is it 201?
201. Yeah, 201. What did I say?
212.
Did I really? 201. We're in North Jersey, folks. I know New York thinks that they have us, but they really don't. They're on the other side of the river. That's the other side over there. For Howard Cross, Super Bowl champ, I'm Paul Dottino, and for Howard Cross III, thanks for stopping by. That'll do it for this edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live. It is presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. We'll see you next time.
Zero Foxtrot isn't just a brand, it's a way of life. Founded and operated by veterans, Zero Foxtrot's unique apparel and gear echoes the grit of the warrior culture. Zero Foxtrot dedicates itself to producing content, honoring the sacrifices of forgotten heroes of the past, and connecting history to the present. Embark on a journey with Zero Foxtrot today at zerofoxtrot.com. It's not merely our products, it's about the ethos that we embody. Rugged, resilient, and timeless.
Overwhelmed by mess in your pickup bed? Upgrade with the decked drawer system. It's completely redesigned. Accommodate more gear in larger drawers. Extend effortlessly and keep your equipment clean and dry. Secure your loads with integrated D-ring tie-downs. Optimize your truck bed space. Proudly made in the USA. Lockable and compatible with any truck from the past 20 plus years. Simple online ordering and easy installation. Visit decked.com/iHeart for free shipping. Get decked. Truck bed storage, toolboxes, and accessories.